Okay, so have you ever been like crammed in your tiny airplane seat, just stuck on the tarmac and thought, man, it would be so awesome to just fly myself?
Yeah.
I know I have. We've all been there, right? Like stuck in that never-ending cycle of security lines and baggage fees.
Don't even get me started on baggage
It's
fees.
screaming babies. It's enough to make anyone want to like, just break free.
It really is. The beauty of personal aviation is exactly that, freedom, the freedom to travel how you want, when you want,
Right, exactly.
and to places that those big airlines would never even think of flying to.
Okay, but let's be real for a sec. It sounds a little like a fantasy, right? Like something only for like, I don't know, millionaires
Oh, I hear you.
or celebrities. Can everyday people actually afford to fly themselves?
That's a huge misconception. Sure, owning a private jet is still a dream for most of us,
Definitely.
but there are some seriously affordable options out there, especially when you compare it to how much commercial travel actually costs you over time. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're saying flying myself could actually save me money in the long run. I'm listening, but I'm still a little skeptical.
I get it. Trust me. Let's talk to those hidden costs of commercial travel, like those sneaky baggage fees that always seem to pop up at the worst possible time,
Oh, yes.
and the cost of airport parking, the overpriced snacks and
Oh,
drinks.
for sure. It all adds up.
It really does, and that's not even considering the value of your time. All those hours wasted in security lines, waiting for delayed flights, dealing with misconnections.
Oh, stop. You're giving me flashbacks to some seriously bad travel experiences.
I know, I know.
But yeah, you're right. Time is money, and commercial travel just feels like a huge waste of time sometimes.
Exactly. Now imagine skipping all of that. No more security lines, no more baggage fees, no more rushing to catch connecting flights. With your own plane, you're the one in control. You set the schedule, you choose the route, and you travel in comfort and privacy.
Okay, now that does sound tempting. But seriously, how much are we really talking about here? Is this something that a regular person can actually afford?
All right, let's break it down. The price of an aircraft can vary, but you can find well-maintained single-engine planes for less than the cost of, let's say, a luxury car.
Really?
And when you consider how much you could save on commercial travel over time, it starts to become a much more realistic option.
Hold on. So you're telling me I could potentially buy a plane for the same price as a car? That's crazy. I always thought planes were like ridiculously expensive, way out of reach for normal people.
I know, right? It's a different world.
But even if I could afford the plane itself, what about all the other expenses like fuel and maintenance, hangar fees and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Doesn't that just eat up any savings you might get from skipping commercial flights?
sure, there are definitely ongoing costs to think about. Fuel costs will depend on how much you fly and the type of plane you have. Maintenance is a must for any aircraft, just like with a car. But there are ways to manage these costs. You can shop around for mechanics, join flying clubs, or even share ownership with other pilots.
Okay, so like the sharing economy for planes.
Exactly. Lots of ways to make it more affordable.
I love that. But before I go full on daydreams about flying through the clouds, let's talk about the big thing, getting a pilot's license.
Right, of course, that's a crucial step. But honestly, it might be more achievable than you think. It all starts with ground school, where you learn the basics of aviation. Things like weather patterns, navigation techniques, regulations, and aircraft systems.
Ground school sounds kind of intimidating. Like, am I going back to high school physics or something?
Aha, not quite. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. There are tons of resources out there, both online and in person, that make learning fun and easy. And honestly, understanding how all these systems work is pretty fascinating. It's like you're unlocking the secrets of the sky.
Yeah, I could see how it would be cool to actually understand what's going on up there instead of just being a passenger who has no clue. So once you finish ground school, what's next?
That's when the real fun begins, flight training. You'll get paired up with a super experienced instructor who will teach you everything you need to know. You'll start with the basics, like takeoffs and landings, and then gradually move on to more advanced skills, like navigating through different weather conditions and handling emergencies.
Okay, that's the part that sounds both exciting and terrifying. I can only imagine what it's like to take off for the first time and realize you're the one in control of this powerful machine.
It's an amazing feeling, unlike anything else.
I bet. But I'm also thinking about those first few solo flights. And man, just the thought of it makes me nervous. Is it really as scary as it seems?
You'll definitely have some nerves on that first solo flight, but it's also super empowering. You're putting all your training into practice, relying on your own skills and judgment to fly safely. And when you nail that landing, the feeling is incredible, like pure exhilaration.
Wow, you're making me want to sign up for flight school right now. But hold on, before I get ahead of myself, Tell me a bit more about these different pilot licenses. I'm guessing there are different levels depending on how and where you want to fly.
Exactly. The most common license is a private pilot license, which lets you fly for fun and personal travel.
Okay,
Now, if you want to fly for a living or carry passengers commercially, you'll need a commercial pilot license that requires more training and experience.
got it.
And of course, there are specialized licenses for things like flying helicopters or seaplanes.
So many options.
Yeah,
But for someone just starting out, that private pilot license sounds like the perfect way to experience the freedom of flying.
definitely a great place to start. And once you have that license, the sky's the limit, literally.
So we've talked about the costs, the licensing process, and even some of the different types of planes. But honestly, what's really got me hooked in this conversation is the sense of adventure and personal growth that comes with flying yourself.
It's more than just a mode of transportation. It becomes a way of life. It changes your whole perspective.
You know, we've been talking about this idea of freedom a lot, but I'm curious, what does that freedom actually look like? How does flying yourself change the way you travel and see the world?
Right. Picture this. You're planning a weekend getaway with your family. Instead of dealing with those crazy airports and airline schedules, you just jump in your plane and fly off to a secluded lake up in the mountains.
Sounds amazing.
You land on this beautiful little air trip, unpack your stuff, and spend the weekend fishing, hiking, and making memories that you just couldn't make if you were stuck with commercial travel.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like you have access to a whole secret world that most people don't even know about.
Exactly. It's about taking back control of your travels, breaking free from those boring old routes and schedules. It's about finding those hidden gems, exploring those far-off corners of the world, and making your own adventures.
You know, it's funny. When I think about a typical pilot, I picture someone super disciplined, focused, and maybe even a bit of a daredevil. Are those qualities that people who love flying already have, or are they things that flying brings out in you?
That's a good question. I think it's probably a bit of both. There's definitely a certain type of person who's drawn to the challenge and responsibility of flying. But yeah, flying itself definitely shapes you. It takes precision, attention to detail, and the ability to think on your feet under pressure.
So it's like a way to improve yourself.
Oh, absolutely. It pushes you beyond your comfort zone, makes you face your fears, and teaches you to trust your skills and judgment. And those are lessons you can apply to every part of your life.
I've actually heard some people say that flying is a form of meditation, that the focus and concentration it takes to fly a plane can be really calming and therapeutic. Have you ever felt that?
You know, there's definitely something to that. When you're up in the air, all those everyday distractions just disappear. You're totally present in the moment, focused on what you're doing, and there's a certain rhythm and beauty to flying that can be really peaceful.
I could see how that would be so appealing these days. We're constantly bombarded with information and noise. It sounds like flying gives you a chance to unplug, reconnect with yourself, and find a sense of peace that's hard to come by anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a special kind of escape, a way to clear your head and see things from a new perspective. And the best part is you're not just escaping from something, you're escaping to something. To the freedom of the skies, the thrill of adventure, the beauty of our planet.
So we've talked about the freedom, the adventure, the personal growth, but we can't forget about the community that comes with flying. It seems like there's a really strong bond between pilots, a shared passion that goes way beyond just flying.
You're absolutely right. There's something special about pilots. There's a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding of the challenges and rewards of flying that creates instant connections wherever you go.
You know, I've always thought of airports as these impersonal, chaotic places. But now I'm starting to see a whole other side to them, a side filled with passion, camaraderie, and a sense of adventure.
It's like a hidden world within a world. And once you step into it, you realize that flying is so much more than just getting from point A to point B. It's a community, a lifestyle, a whole new way of seeing the world.
This has been so eye-opening. You've really showed me a world I never knew existed.
Glad to hear it. It's a passion of mine.
So for our listeners who are now feeling inspired, who are ready to explore the possibilities of flying themselves, what would you say to them? What's the first step they should take to turn this dream into a reality?
It's simple. Really reach out to a local flight school and book a discovery flight. It's a chance to sit in the cockpit, get a feel for the controls, and experience the thrill of takeoff and landing for yourself.
Like a test drive for your dreams.
Exactly. You never know. It might just lead you to a life filled with adventure, freedom, and a whole new perspective on the world.
It might. We'll have to wait and see.
Exactly.
All right, coming up after the break, we'll be diving deeper into the world of aircraft options and exploring what's on the horizon for the future of aviation.
Stay tuned. Sounds good. When most people think about personal aircraft, they picture those like sleek private jets you see in movies. But for someone just starting out, a single-engine plane is usually the perfect choice.
Okay, so let's talk about these single-engine planes. What are some of the popular options for new pilots?
One of the most popular is the Cessna 172 Skyhawk. It's super reliable, easy to handle, and the operating costs are relatively low. It's kind of like the Toyota Camry of the skies, dependable and practical.
I like that analogy. So if the Skyhawk is the reliable family car, what about something a little more, adventurous?
Well, if you're looking for something with a bit more pep, the Cirrus SR22 is a great choice. It's known for its speed, sleek design, and advanced avionics.
Okay, so the sporty coupe of the aviation world. I
Exactly.
could definitely see myself cruising along the coast in one of those.
And for those who want something really rugged and versatile, there's the Piper PA-28 Cherokee. It's a real workhorse, capable of handling all sorts of conditions, even short runways and rough terrain.
So we've got the Camry, the sporty coupe, and the rugged SUV of the skies. I'm starting to see how the plane you choose can really reflect your personality and flying style.
Absolutely. Just like with cars, there's a plane out there for every need and budget. The key is finding the one that's right for you.
That makes sense. This is all so fascinating. But let's be real for a minute. Even the most reliable plane needs maintenance. What's it actually like to keep one of these things in tip-top shape?
Yeah, regular maintenance is crucial when it comes to aircraft safety. We're talking about inspections, part replacements, making sure everything meets those strict FAA regulations.
Oh, okay, so it's not just like changing the oil and checking the tire pressure.
Not quite. Aircraft maintenance involves specialized mechanics and certified facilities. The good news is, though, that these costs are usually pretty predictable. You can budget for them just like you would for any other vehicle.
That makes sense. So it's an investment, but it's necessary for safety and peace of mind. Now, what about storage? Where do you even keep a plane? Do I need my own personal hangar like Bruce Wayne?
Haha, that would be nice, but most of us don't have a Batcave lying around. Most airports offer hangar rentals, and you can often find shared hangars to split the cost with other pilots.
Ah, the sharing economy comes to the rescue again. It's amazing how there are so many ways to make flying more accessible. Speaking of community, let's talk about resources for aspiring pilots. Where does someone even start if they're interested in learning more about this whole world?
A great place to start is the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, or AOPA for short. They offer a ton of information, advocacy, and support for pilots at all levels.
So it's like the ultimate pilot's club.
You could say that they provide everything from flight training resources to legislative advocacy, ensuring that general aviation remains accessible and enjoyable for everyone.
Okay, so AOP is a good starting point. What other resources should people check out?
Local flight schools are essential for hands-on training and guidance. They can connect you with certified instructors, help you pick the right aircraft, and guide you through the whole licensing process. And don't forget about online forums and communities. There's a huge online aviation world where you can connect with other pilots, get advice, and share stories.
It's like a secret society of people who've discovered the joy of flight.
There's definitely a sense of camaraderie among pilots. It's a passion that connects people from all walks of life.
This is all so inspiring. But let's be realistic for a second. Wanting to fly takes time and dedication. It's not something you could just pick up overnight, right?
You're right about that. It is a commitment, but the payoff is huge. The process can be challenging, but it's incredibly rewarding. It's not just about memorizing facts and procedures. It's about developing a deep understanding of aerodynamics, weather patterns, and risk management.
So the skills you learn go way beyond just being able to operate a plane. You're learning about discipline, focus, and how to make decisions under pressure. It sounds like the ultimate mental challenge.
Absolutely. Flying teaches you to think ahead, anticipate problems, and stay calm in unexpected situations. Those are skills that are useful in every part of life. Plus, there's the pure joy of it all, the freedom of soaring above the clouds, the amazing views, the feeling of accomplishment when you nail a perfect landing. It's hard to put into words.
I can only imagine. Okay, I have to ask. What was your first solo flight like? What was going through your head when you took off for the first time on your own?
It's funny, I can still remember it so clearly. I was a mix of excited and terrified as I taxied down the runway. Suddenly it hit me. I was completely in control of this aircraft, responsible for my own safety. But as soon as I lifted off, all those nerves just disappear. It was pure joy, pure freedom. And the feeling of accomplishment was incredible. It's a moment I'll never forget.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Like a truly life-changing experience. Speaking of change, the world of aviation is constantly evolving. What are some of the exciting things on the horizon that could make flying even more accessible and amazing?
The future of aviation is super exciting. We're seeing amazing advancements in aircraft design with lighter, more fuel-efficient planes being developed all the time. And then there's the whole world of electric aircraft, which are quieter and more environmentally friendly for shorter flights.
So maybe we'll be saying goodbye to those noisy engines and hello to a more sustainable way to fly. What about all those futuristic concepts we keep hearing about, like self-flying planes? Are those just fantasies, or is there a chance they could actually happen?
The possibilities are mind-blowing. Imagine a world where you just tell your plane where to go and it takes care of everything while you relax and enjoy the ride. While autonomous flight is still in its early stages, the potential for safety, efficiency, and accessibility is huge.
That would be the ultimate travel experience. But for now, let's focus on the present. What advice would you give to someone who's seriously thinking about learning to fly? What's the first step they should take to make this dream a reality?
The first step is easy. Find a reputable flight school near you and book a discovery flight. It's a chance to actually sit in the cockpit, feel the controls, and get a taste of what it's like to take to the skies.
Like a test drive for your dreams. And you never know, it could lead you to a life full of adventure, freedom, and a whole new way of seeing the world.
That's right, the sky's the limit, literally.
We've talked about the practical side of getting a pilot's license, like the costs and the different types of planes out there. But what's really stuck with me is this idea of, adventure and personal growth
Yeah.
that comes with flying yourself.
It really is more than just a hobby.
Yeah.
It's like a whole lifestyle. It changes your whole perspective, how you see the world, how you handle challenges,
Yeah, for sure.
how you value your time.
We've talked about freedom a lot, but I'm curious, what does that actually look like day to day? How does flying yourself change how you travel and experience the world?
Okay, so imagine this. You're planning a weekend trip with your family, and instead of dealing with airports and airline schedules, you just hop in your plane and fly to like a secluded lake up in the mountains.
Okay.
You land on a little airstrip, unpack your stuff, and spend the weekend, fishing, hiking, making memories that you just couldn't make with commercial travel.
That's such a cool picture. It's like you're opening up this whole secret world that most people don't even know about.
It really is. You're taking back control of your travel, breaking free from the usual routes and schedules. It's about finding hidden gems, exploring those far-off places, and creating your own adventures.
When I think about the typical image of a pilot, I picture someone who's incredibly disciplined and focused,
Hmm.
maybe even a little daring. Are those qualities that people are just born with, or does flying help you develop them?
I think it's a mix of both. There's definitely a certain type of person who's drawn to the challenge and responsibility of flying. But yeah, flying itself shapes you. It requires precision, attention to detail, and the ability to make decisions under pressure.
So flying is almost like a form of self-improvement then.
Absolutely. It pushes you outside your comfort zone, makes you confront your fears, and teaches you to trust your own skills and judgment. And those are lessons you can use in every part of your life.
I've even heard people say that flying is like meditation,
Oh, yeah.
that the focus and concentration it takes to fly a plane can actually be really calming and therapeutic. Have you ever felt that?
There's definitely some truth to that. When you're up in the air, all the distractions of everyday life just kind of fade away.
Yeah.
You're completely present in the moment, focused on the task at hand, and there's a rhythm and beauty to flying that can be so peaceful.
I could totally see how that would be so appealing in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with information and noise.
It is.
It sounds like flying gives you a chance to disconnect, reconnect with yourself, and experience a sense of peace that's hard to find anywhere else.
It's a special kind of escape, a way to clear your head and gain a fresh perspective. And the best part is you're not just escaping from something, you're escaping to the freedom of the skies, the thrill of adventure, the beauty of our planet.
We've talked about freedom, adventure, personal growth, but what about the sense of community that comes with flying? It seems like there's this special bond between pilots,
Yeah.
a shared passion that goes beyond just flying.
You're right. There's something unique about pilots, a camaraderie, a shared understanding of the challenges and rewards of flying that creates instant connections wherever you go.
It's funny, I always thought of airports as these impersonal, chaotic places.
Right.
But now I'm starting to see that there's this whole other side to them, a side that's full of passion and camaraderie
Totally.
and a sense of adventure.
It is. It's like a hidden world within a world. And once you step into it, you realize that flying is so much more than just getting from point A to point B.
Mm.
It's a community, a lifestyle, a way of seeing the world.
This has been so incredible learning about all of this. You've really opened my eyes to a world I never knew existed.
I'm glad to hear that.
So for our listeners who are now feeling inspired, who are ready to explore the possibilities of flying themselves, what would you say to them? What's the first step they should take to start this journey?
The first step is simple. Just reach out to a local flight school and book a discovery flight. It's an opportunity to actually sit in the cockpit, feel the controls, and experience the thrill of takeoff and landing for yourself.
Yeah, it's a chance to see if that spark is there, if the magic of flight grabs you. And who knows, it could be the start of an amazing adventure.
It could be. The sky's the limit, right?
Exactly. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. I can't thank you enough for joining us on this deep dive into the world of personal aviation. It's been so enlightening and inspiring.
It's been my pleasure. I love sharing my passion for flying, and I hope we've inspired some people out there to chase their dreams.
I'm sure we have. And to all our listeners out there, if you're even a little bit curious about flying, don't let that dream just stay a dream. Take that first step book, that discovery flight, and see where it takes you.
Yeah, you might surprise yourself.
That's right. Well, that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Animal Kingdom tried to tell them it's ugly out here. They told you to thug and get rid of the feelings just to find meaning and purpose in something unclear. All of a sudden it's substance abundant. Can't drown in discussions, tugging existential bliss in cashmere. Too slick for appearances, numb off ambiance, cause the system condition is blurring our ears. My daddy ain't been gone for too long, this is surreal. Young kings doing wrong to get on, man, it's real. Follow through too strong, swear my team is up next. Led her through the nude scene, make her sing, found her say. Yeah, fully determined, see it unfurling. All I'm learning, call it gain and no loss. Life a whirlwind of Merlins, like Sterling is bourbon, causing unnerving thoughts. Picture a frame, I'm wide awake. Can't blame me for no fool no more. Destined for cream, won't stop mundane. Let's pick up speed right out the gate. 3, 2, 1. Hell if I care, I'm doing well and I should hang there. Where boundaries ain't, where liberties reign. Well, hell if I care. Follow life's flow. Shades muted in tone. Hey, like August in Rome. Welcome to life, I'm Future. My music ain't gon' change the world. My people know the lyrics. Animal Kingdom.